Previously on the Phantom Zone After Dark.
Especially with how we know how you buy things, like it wouldn't be surprising if like you showed up and like you had
No.
I was like, why'd you buy that? Now it's like, I don't know.
I just want to hear like Allan just walk like enter the Skype call and be like, "What's up, Jake Paulers?"
God damn it.
No,
Allan,
Logan
Allan.
Paul looks like someone I want to punch in the fucking face.
Allan, I don't have supernatural powers, but if that happened, I'd make a fucking believer out of you. I would Doctor Strange into your room. I would start breaking all the shit.
If that happened, you just need to use your powers to go back in time and make him start putting money back into his wallet.
God fucking damn.
Rasputin got into the Russian royal family by drinking and fucking and tricking the Russian queen into thinking that he magically healed her son of hemophilia.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his whole thing was you have to sin more to get it out. I think
He was.
Wait,
him and Alistair,
is that how Steel was cured of hemophilia in Legends Tomorrow?
Yeah.
him and Rasputin and Aleister Crowley would have been good buddies. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh man, Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
Wrote poetry
Good
about
friend of
women.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
Aleister Crowley wrote poetry about women farting.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then Rasputin. So they poison him. They try to. It doesn't work. So then, like, one of them's like, "Fuck it," and just shoots him. Like, close range, in the back, he goes down. Okay, it's probably with one of those bullshit, terrible, fucking, I don't know what kind of pistol it was, but it was probably unreliable. It wasn't a killing shot. It's not like
It was probably a hooker pistol. It was one of those like little like things that they put in their sock, and that like if you're shooting somebody from close range, it'll kill them, but from far away, it's probably.
I think
nothing.
they said it was from across a room. And they hit him, and they went down, and he's like, "Aha! I did it. He is dead." And then like he gets up and leaves the room, and as he comes back, Rasputin's like, and like climbing up the stairs, trying to get out, and basically dying.
And don't they stab him a bunch of times as well?
No, what happens is I think the guy with the gun shoots him again and either hit him or like Rasputin heard the gunshot and was like, "I've been hit again," and just went down. So he goes down, and then they start beating him with their shoes. Which at this point, the assassination has failed. Like if you're beating him with your shoes that you had in feet, you guys are terrible. This is magic. This is incompetence.
Wasn't there a Russian prime minister or president or whatever who brought order during World War II to a large group of people by banging his shoe on a gavel or using it as a gavel? So it sounds like it's a common occurrence with Russians to just use shoes in ways that aren't appropriate.
And then to put the idea that he may have been alive in the riverbed after all this, he wasn't, because the would-be assassin finally decided to man up, put the pistol against his forehead, and shot him in the head.
I'm talking about when, like, they also tried to burn him. Like they didn't
burn him or anything like that. I think they shot him in the head, and then they quickly and hurriedly, because at this point now, like, it's supposed to be a covert assassination attempt. I'm
talking about when his body was discovered, and he was.
They fucking, I think they just buried him. Like,
yeah,
there was no reason. Yeah.
And
I haven't heard anything about it, and trust me, I exhaustively read about the whole thing.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything about them trying to do anything else to his body afterwards.
And the big joke is because they preserved it. That's how we know this. That's how we know, because they preserved it in vinegar.
And the reason they hastily tie him in this fucking burlap sack is because I can't remember who the Duke's name was. But like, dude, you just fired 5 gunshots in the middle of some palace. Like, the police are coming. So they dump his ass in the river. Yeah. Now, the only source of real creepy mysticism that comes from all this is that before he died, hang on. Before he died, he wrote a letter. It said, "Revolution is coming. If I am to meet my end by peasants and the common folk, the Russian family will prosper. if I am assassinated by aristocrats, nobles, or wealthy men, the royal family will die by gunshot. Will die via execution or gunshot within 2 years of my death. They die within like a year and 11 months of his death by gunshot.
Yikes.
I didn't know anything about that part of it.
Yeah, he predicted almost to a T how the Romanovs died.
It's almost like he
crazy.
knew.
Yeah.
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 He jigsawed it. He wasn't even around for the whole third act.
God fucking damn it. Yeah.
And now I can actually tie it to Unsolved Mysteries again, because there was a thing on there where
The mystery of the pickle dick.
I'm sure at some point they did everything on Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
no, I'm talking about
I'm Pickle Dick Morty.
well,
Pickle dick.
Turn myself into a tickle.
that one of the Romanovs survived. It was a story that she
Oh.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a
that's-
He became Black Widow.
It's a prominent. It's a prominent like European fairy tale
yeah.
that one of the royal family was whisked away and saved from horrible murder.
Right.
Yeah, she wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, but
She did.
it's a nice fairy
No,
tale. It got made into a movie.
She got shot from what I remember from the Unsolved Mysteries episode, which was like a year ago.
Yeah, but part of the theory, and the theory hasn't died. Nobody's really disproven it. Is that was a double? That the Russians had the capability to find young girls who looked like Anastasia, and have doubles there in case something happened. So that's where most of the theory comes from now.
So that's where George R. R. Martin got it.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
Like
George R. R. Martin has ripped off history wholesale for
Yeah.
Thrones.
And like the theory that Hitler did not die the day that they say he did comes from the fact that they never did a full autopsy, and his body was buried in Germany, like in the middle of like a.
And allegedly, like he shot himself and like
Mhm.
poured all over himself. Like his body was likely burned beyond recognition.
Yeah, and it was just
Because
buried in like
aren't Russians like?
because they got there first. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I'm pretty sure they had a murder boner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
Well-
it's kind of scary, similar to the Bin Laden situation, where it's like we got
That's-
there first. We capped him in the face, and then we sent him to live in a pineapple under the sea.
Right.
Like we quickly got rid of him.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, it was a burial at sea. No, burial at sea is like a ceremony, and there's like people who care,
We just
and there's
kicked
like a
him off the side.
procession. We kicked him off the side of a helicopter and said, "Good day, mate."
Yeah. The Russians killed him, and then they did nothing to confirm. So there was no way, like there were no American soldiers who came into his room and also confirmed that's when he died. There was just
who knows?
taking the Russian word on it. And
here's the thing. If the Russians got a hold of Adolf Hitler, it doesn't matter. He was
Right.
dead. Like
Right.
the Russians, they probably broke him into so many pieces you wouldn't be able to find him.
yeah,
Yeah.
while he was still alive, they
Well,
would
yeah,
have.
like-
They would have.
His mustache would have been the last thing left of him.
Yeah.
The other thing too with that is you have to think about the political turns that were going on at that point. Like
Mhm.
they knew the war was coming to an end soon. Like they knew that they were pushing back the German front. And at that point, I imagine the Russians and the Americans were more thinking about, all right, who's getting which scientists? Let's work on this
Yeah,
while we
and
try
see,
and
like,
finish this.
what this is more akin to like Shadow Zone stuff is like one of the reasons I think like the German war effort was going as poorly as it was because like Hitler was like weirdly allocating resources to go get like spooky artifacts.
Yeah, he was totally into
Because
the
he was
occult.
So
fucking
Wolfenstein?
He was yes.
Yeah.
Dude, Allan, Wolfenstein is based on the idea that Hitler was so crazy into the occult that he would devote that much time to finding this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Also,
like the
Indiana
Fear of
Jones.
Destiny.
And
That's
then
it's a well-known fact that the Nazis
Yeah.
were super into anything
Yes,
ghosty or occulty.
They were
Yeah,
into
at least
fucking
Teutonic.
actual magic. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
like Castle Wolfenstein is supposedly based on something that may have existed or not.
Yeah.
I don't even know. But like, the whole idea of like Nazis getting a hold of like technology they shouldn't have because it came from either some ancient civilization or aliens or a different dimension is totally rooted in the idea that Hitler was like, go find me the fucking Ark of the Covenant.
Destiny?
Yeah, like
I need the Spear of Destiny.
And,
Eric
like,
is
everyone's
right.
like,
Like he started with like Teutonic monuments and like there's a German version of what's it called in England? The stones that they use in Halloween 3, Stonehenge. There's like a German version of that he like had moved. But it started with Teutonic stuff and it came like him getting the Spear of Destiny and shit like that. Like he went after all that kind of stuff.
I think
even the SS's symbol is a variation of runes of power that from Teutonic alphabet. So
the swastika is based on a Tibetan good luck charm, I think.
Yeah, it's a combination of things.
Thanks a lot, Hitler.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
it's really
the
the
inverse of
Tibetans
it.
who get to say that, but
they're the ones who really get to be like, you fucking appropriated a very important part of our culture and used it for total evil. But yeah, he wanted the fucking oh god damn it, the cup. Why am I
Holy Grail.
Yeah.
There we go.
Whatever you can imagine, anything, any
cup
item
that the
from the
Christ kid
Bible.
used.
Get me the holy cup.
Give me,
And the Ark.
yeah, he wanted the Ark.
like-
he wanted
Hey.
all of it.
Like devoted resources to go finding the fucking, the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, all this stuff. Like I think Noah's Ark, which is like,
I wouldn't.
dude,
Yeah.
if we haven't found it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
All right, the boat.
Like, there's a reason they were able to make so many video games off of this idea. There's a reason there's 3 Nathan Drake games, 2 of which have to do with Nazis at some point, if you like, with the past and stuff like that.
Gentlemen, we are Nazis.
Have you guys seen any of the documentaries about like the possibility that Noah's Ark is in like
This dude, have I seen any documentaries? I've seen all of them. Actually,
Please tell me it's somewhere in like Tennessee or Kentucky.
no, it's in Europe.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like
It's
kind of in like was it buried somewhere in like the fertile strip?
Yeah.
Wow,
well,
like fucking
they're-
8th grade like World Civ is like just biting me in the ass right now.
There are multiple theories. One is that the other is that it got split in half
Right.
and it's on a mountain somewhere.
That's
Yeah.
actually like not that. At least if you follow the lore of the Bible, which I'll call that. If you
The
flood the
lore.
planet, then your boat's probably gonna likely end up at a fucking mountain. So that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
The rest, however, is nonsense. But I'll say that.
But
I
yeah.
won't go into that.
Wouldn't we notice a fucking boat in a mountain somewhere?
I just snow mountain like, oh look at that,
Huh.
So here's the thing. I'm
a big
all
fucking wooden thing.
I'm all for believing that they went searching for it. What do they think they were gonna find? I don't remember I don't remember Noah having like, or not Noah. Is it Noah?
Yeah.
Noah. I don't remember Noah like having like Moses' staff or anything like that. Like he didn't have
No.
anything.
You don't remember Noah having any boss weapons that they had to
No. No, like he never.
He did not drop that great of loot.
Fucking Noah's loot drop is bullshit.
God damn it. But no, like he didn't have like any special weapons. He just had a boat. It was a boat.
Yeah.
Well, I think the importance of finding Noah's Ark is like you found the fucking it's like your one-armed man. Like there
Right.
it is. Like gotcha.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
biggest.
It's basically trying to prove that
Here's the thing: if
Bible
someone
thumpers are real.
exactly, if you found
Right.
what could be inconclusively proved as Noah's Ark tomorrow,
That's
the entire
true.
context of the Bible would change. It
Also,
would go from spiritual poppycock to like, oh, this shit might have actually happened.
yeah, and
I doubt Jonah got swallowed by a whale.
Right. He
He
goes
did. No,
instantly
he did.
from kind of having the Catholic Church's support, which is a thing that is true.
Pope John Paul II.
That got brought up and crossed, which is I
Mhm.
think a weird place to have that kind of like.
Yeah. But he goes from
Was it in
kind of
the,
having their support to having all of their support at that point, I would imagine. And
Well-
even Christian evangelicals probably at that
Yeah.
point.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of them are very borderline close to the ideas that he was trying to propagate. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good old religion.
Yeah.
But more to veer less off the like the supernatural, but like elementary documentary. Someone came in today at work and mentioned a documentary I've seen that I think is fascinating because it's all real world stuff that like you couldn't think could actually happen.
Right.
And it's called
Okay,
The
tell me-
Imposter.
I'm gonna
Yes.
buy this.
Yeah, that movie is
It's
phenomenal.
a really good documentary, and if you like stuff like Making a Murderer, which features stuff where you watch it again, and you're like, hang on, that
Yeah.
gets rid of the second watch necessity, and like the entire first watch, you just have your hands raised in front of you, like in like the what the fuck expression, because you
Yep.
can't believe this many adults allowed this kind of chicanery to go down. It's basically the story of a man who's like 20s or 30s.
Yeah, I want to say he's like early 30s.
Yes, a man in his 30s somehow gets the idea to masquerade as the 15-year-old missing son of an
Who went
American
that-
family.
Who went
That's-
missing in '94?
That's horrifying.
They made that into a
And-
TV show also for anybody who's
Did
like, that sounds familiar. Yeah, they did. I think that at least they did the
Why,
idea.
I bet the main story or the real story is even nuttier.
Yeah, it usually
So
is.
he like this dude gets in a fucking phone booth and calls this. I think he's in Spain. He calls the Spanish authorities like, "I'm this person. Come get me." Fuck up number one, because
Uh-huh.
if you're a police officer, you should be like, should we take this at face value?
Yeah.
Or should we maybe look into it a little more? They don't, and they take it at face value, it seems. And they begin the process of sending him to America, which he has to get, that's not like, I'm going to go tomorrow. That's a process, especially when you're being taken into someone's family who you're claiming to be their long thought dead missing son, who is supposed to be 15 years old. This guy has a beard.
Yeah.
He gets there, and like the mom and the sister are like, "Son, brother, you're home," and like adults outside of this are like, "Hang on."
Well, yeah. I mean, if I remember correctly, he had said like he'd gotten through at high school like by keeping a hoodie up and just like not making eye contact. Which,
Yes.
dude, you're still in your mid-30s. Like you can look
I
at your
guess it-
hands and
I
tell
guess
you're
it
not
wasn't-
15.
First time he had pulled something like this off.
Yeah.
I guess it was too little, too late because at this point he's a grown ass man, and like at this point, like the longer it went, the less blame I put on him because like he did initiate this bullshit and like it is still kind of his fault. But the adults and fucking grown people who know better, who just allowed this to continue out of either knowledge you were keeping from the police, like, oh, my son's dead, we kind of killed him and put him in the basement.
Yep.
Which was a prevailing theory, or such powerful denial that you can't even see this dude as like he has different color eyes than your fucking son. Are you kidding me?
He has a different skin tone than your son.
And he has an accent, and he has a beard.
Like,
But like, here's the
Actually-
thing about that. That's horrifying. 'Cause he just like shows up. He's like, "Fuck it."
Yeah,
I'm
And
your
the movie-
son now.
changing it
Okay,
happened too.
I have a recommendation for people who want to see more or want to learn more about this stuff. Masters of Darkness.
That also sounds like a stable.
It's a BBC documentary.
Oh,
Sold.
Serious.
I have a really good documentary that I watched. It's on Netflix now. It's tied into some of the crazier conspiracy theory stuff out there, but it's disturbing because it actually starts to point some fingers at truth with child sex rings. It's called Who Took Johnny? It's on Netflix.
I've passed over this a few times.
You should really watch this, Connor.
Um,
You should really watch this.
There's another good one. Well, actually, it's a two-piece because it started off as one documentary covering one subject, and the sequel was many subjects. The first one was Cropsy.
Yeah.
And, like, I think everyone kind of knows, like, a Cropsy story, even if it didn't happen in your state. Cropsy's, like, the local myth of, like, that crazy old man with Down syndrome kidnaps kids and eats them.
we
Like,
all have some version of that.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
The problem is, in this case, like, they found a fucking real Cropsy.
Yeah.
And this dude, like, I think, like, there's a very famous newspaper clipping of, like, this dude being escorted out of the courthouse in handcuffs. And he looks like Billy Bob Thornton from Sling Blade. And, like, he's
Yeah.
got drool coming out of his mouth. I'm like, that is the most appropriate and inappropriate photo to encapsulate this whole story. Because it basically like it crystallized what the public would imagine this kind of predator would look like, and so the news just fucking ran with it. And the sequel is Killer Legends, and they go to the truth about basically like every major North American urban legend, down to like the car that had the hook hand left on it.
Oh, who took Johnny? That's the Johnny Gotch thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen this. This is, oh god, it's a fucking insane documentary.
It's like my wife and I started watching it because I'd heard it was really good, and we're like, okay, so this kid went missing. Oh, it's connected to this guy in the middle of nowhere America who's a bank manager that was making millions of dollars, and oh, it's connected to a child sex slave ring. Oh, that's connected to higher forms of the government that actually hid all this.
Hear about the child's? It was like a children's entertainment puppet show that was linked to not just like child sex rings, but like possible fucking child cannibalism.
No, what is this?
I can't remember the dude's name, but like basically the director, the guy who ran this children's TV program, was like secretly running like white slavery, like a white slavery ring.
Oh, no.
If you find this information out about what it is, send it to me. I definitely want to read up on it.
I heard on Sword and Scale, and Sword and Scale is like one of my favorite places to go as far as like I want to hear something just profoundly fucked up.
I just need to quickly say something that will make Arlen get happy.
Yeah.
You like The Witch, right?
Yeah, I like it quite a bit.
The director is going to be writing and directing a 6 to 8 miniseries, or a 6 to 8 episode miniseries about Rasputin.
Ooh, I do remember.
Oh,
I remember hearing about that.
Okay.
Everything he's working on in the future, I'm like, yes.
Can we?
That.
I want to. You know, I'm glad you brought that up because like that movie I found to be profoundly terrifying.
It is.
Yeah.
It
like,
is unnerving.
I mean, it got it wormed into my heart and took a shit. Like,
Yikes!
Unsettled me because like a lot of people were like, oh, it's a lot of people were very kind of upset at the possible downplay of the supernatural element, and I'm like, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
which the self-destruction of a God-fearing family,
Right.
like through their own power of belief.
Yeah. And
Like
through...
and there is witch like shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
But it's complete. It's present, but it's not like its fingers aren't all over everything. It's influencing things.
Yeah.
But like she basically lets this family just blow up from the inside.
She the witch, or well, spoilers for The Witch if you haven't seen it. As we learn, which is, they just take a domino. That's all they do. They tip over one domino, and that one domino just unravels their entire existence. And it's everything. It's the mother's mistrust of her daughter. It's the dad being so goddamn noble and prideful. And it's Caleb just trying to do what he can.
The son who's trying so desperately to become a man.
Yeah.
And like the twins who are just fuck the twins.
Terrible.
Yeah, they're just
Terrible.
kids, and
They're awful.
Terrible.
and they're
I'm
being
glad they
influenced by an envoy of the devil.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
I think one of the things that got me right away was like, one, their presentation of witches is nothing glamorous. Like it's frightening looking naked women who hide in caves.
Yeah.
And like right at the gate when the baby goes missing, and like that's in the trailers, you kind of know what happens. But like the slam cut to this witch fucking grinding up what is obviously human flesh and eating it, and now you put the piece together and you're like, that's the baby.
It's not even just eating it; it's everything else. She's
She's rubbing it on herself
as, like,
and
lotion.
lubricating her.
It is
using
like,
it on her
as
broom.
far as theatrical like horror goes, it's one of the most the most disturbing thing I've seen on screen. Probably.
Wait, that's
Well,
the movie with the girl that was in Split, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw.
Well, that's
I
Go
saw
ahead,
this movie in theaters, and the way that the sound plays with you,
oh god.
like you're just everything about it. That's the thing. Anybody who saw the movie at home, you had a great experience. I know you did because I've seen it many times at home. But seeing that movie in a theater is so crazy because you begin to be unsure what is the movie and what is your mind, and are you slowly like are you like
Losing your
being-
mind.
losing
Well,
your
that,
mind
like,
a little bit? Like,
the
yeah.
way the way they make you intimately distrust a fucking animal.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the longer, first of all, that is the most frightening looking goat I've ever seen. Let's take out the context of the film and just look at that goat. I wouldn't go 5 foot near that goat.
Connor,
and
it's kind of perfect you brought this movie up because we were actually talking about this a little bit before we started recording.
Oh shit!
Because there's a new A24 film that's just a trailer out. But yeah, I just brought up the fact, like, did you know about Black Phillip? Like, he was apparently a terrible bastard to work with on set.
Yes, he was a piece of shit apparently.
Yeah, he's a
broke,
total
like-
dick.
Yeah, he broke the father's ribs in that scene where he ended up headbutting him.
That's just
Yeah.
because he's a true artiste. All right?
He was a method goat.
Or
He
it's
was a
'cause you
method
got-
goat.
Or it's because you got like you're like, we need to get a fucking evil goat, and I guess someone was like, well, we'll spare no expense.
Also,
And, like-
they were filming in Canada, in northern Canada, in a very
Yeah.
small town, because in order to get trees like that, you have to go very isolated places.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
Very few horror movies can, because one, like I deliberately exposed myself to all this stuff, so like a lot of it's really hard to fuck with me. But okay.
No. I'm watching Unsolved Mysteries, and they're like them. They just showed a gray.
oh yeah.
Oh god.
Oh,
Oh, that
God.
must. Okay, yeah, that would have been really funny, especially with how old that show is.
Yeah,
Some fucker in gloves. Like,
especially guys.
I can't name that many horror movies that like I watch, and after I'm done, I'm like, I need to talk to someone because I'm really fucked. Like, I think actually, The Conjuring. The first time I saw
Yes.
Conjuring, like I left the theater and like I'm with a large group of people because I work in a movie theater. And they're like, you like it? I was like, give me 10 minutes, like, because it's to my belief where if you can have concentrated fucking evil centered in a location. I do believe in physical evil, and like The Conjuring is like all that shit I
Mhm.
believe in that came right to life. And Sinister fucked with me because I don't like sounds that make my imagination go places I don't want it to go.
Yeah.
What about Annabelle?
Sinister. I didn't fucking see
Annabelle-
Annabelle.
No, but
Take me for.
in the first Conjuring, and I talk about this all the time, when the ghost that's haunting the family's house, when it goes to the Warrens' house, and it tag teams with Annabelle, it's the
Holy shit.
most frightening sequence I've ever seen, because it's just the way that James Wan used light in that sequence is so... It's something that I've experienced, which is what made it scarier. Like, you enter a dark hallway, and it's already dark. There's a certain level of darkness, and then it just suddenly becomes darker for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of shit it's more
See,
terrifying
it's weird
than a
like,
woman appearing.
He's mastered both the art of like the jump scare that's so intense, like you have to leave the room,
Mhm.
and complete subtlety. Like the first Conjuring has sequences where the daughters are like, I think it's a scene where she just wakes up and she's pointing in the corner of the room and she is petrified,
Mhm.
but you can't see anything.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, I don't know what she's looking at, but like to me, it's the scariest thing I can think of, and that makes my head go to places I don't want it to go.
Yeah.
Because for somebody to make someone react that way, I'm like, it has to be the most unsettling thing they've ever laid eyes on. It can't just be like, oh, it's a girl and she's playing with a doll. No,
Yeah.
it must be something so like just inconceivably evil looking that it's making you react this way.
Mhm.
And oh shit, what was the other movie I was gonna bring up? Oh, for different reasons, Fire in the Sky I think is
Yeah.
like the most terrifying alien film ever made.
Yeah.
It is
Well,
horrifying.
It doesn't treat it like, no, these visitors are here to try and show something. It's
Which
like,
is funny
no,
because that's what the real guy said. He says like, no,
Yeah.
dude, he's like, my journey was peaceful as fuck.
Yeah.
And the movie is like, forget that. And the weird thing about the movie is like, they don't bother to do anything crazy until the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
Everything else is build up. And it's
Yep.
kind of like, it's pretty ho-hum build up. You're like, oh, they fucking polygraph
Mhm.
tests and whatever. And like the actual experience he has with the aliens are like the most, it's all physically intrusive and horrifying to look at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shit they did, like they strap him to that table with like that translucent goo that keeps him in place. They're pouring shit into his eyes. They're stabbing him with stuff. It's like every person who has a fear of a surgical table come to life.
It's good.
God, yeah. And like, I mean, people talk about it for years. I can't watch Blair Witch at nighttime.
Nope.
Either
Can't do it.
either one.
Nope.
See, I don't.
What, the second one, Book of
do it.
Shadows? You're
No.
a pussy, Arlen,
I'm-
if you can't watch that.
Okay, okay. Here's the thing: Book of Shadows doesn't exist in my mind. That movie never happened, so I just think that there are two movies.
I mean, it might as well not have.
Yeah.
Because, but no, like the true Blair Witch movies, the actual Blair Witch movies. To me, I don't know what it is, and it's partially because, and I don't know how it is for the rest of you. Every time I've ever gone into the forest, I've never felt comfortable, ever.
No.
Ever.
I don't
live in a
think
forest
you
and I
should.
feel that way.
Here's the thing. Like, even in broad daylight, if I'm by myself in the woods I'm not familiar with, there's an instant sensation of like, I wouldn't say confusion, but you're like, something could barrel at me from 15 feet away from me, and I could probably only hear it and not see it right away.
I think that's a very like primal lizard brain part of us that's coming back from when we were hunter-gatherers, and like we had to be on the lookout at all times when you're in an area like a forest that you know you potentially had something gigantic that could take you like in 2 seconds.
And then there was one occasion where we used to back a wrestle in this little lot in Trenton, New Jersey, and like next to it was like, and here's the thing, it's Jersey, so like big patches of woods, kind of our thing. Have a whole urban legend devoted to a big patch of woods and a supposed winged horse that lives in there.
The Jersey Devil story is my
Jersey
favorite
Devil
thing
is
ever.
the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I lived that state my whole life. I love that shit to death.
This mom gave birth to a cursed baby.
This mom gave birth to a fucking clawed camel. Okay.
Well, that's after the devil boned down on her. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
He's gotta get
standing by-
his.
and this, you know, this patch of woods, like I always stood by it during the day and never thought twice about it. And then like I'm standing there one night and like we're all kind of hanging out late, and like I kind of looked over and you ever seen Ghost in the Darkness?
Is that the
yeah,
lion
the
movie
lions,
with?
Yes.
the
Remember how
lion
it's-
version of Jaws?
Yeah, that's a very excellent description. Remember how he would kind of stare out into the long grass and it would kind of wisp and move? I was kind of looking out in the woods, like, and it was doing that. It's fucking pitch black. I can't see anything. And my friend Will, who lives like right there, walked up to me. He was like, "Sometimes we hear carnival music coming out of that woods, and I don't know why," and just walks away.
Whoa!
And I sat and like my whole body fucking froze, and I couldn't stop staring at these woods because now my brain is in overdrive.
God,
And the fact that he could walk up to me, he knew me pretty well. He knew me like that's my shit. Like that's what I love. I believe in it. I like talk about. For him to walk up and say it so casually to me, I'm like, that means you have heard it at least 5 times, probably. And now at this point, you just live with it.
That goes back to, I can't remember exactly how, I think it was H.P. Lovecraft described it, is the thing that makes horror work isn't like something that's spooky, scary, monstrous. It's something that you know doing something it shouldn't do. And
Yeah,
you
that's why I
described
love
it
H.P.
once
Lovecraft.
like,
H.P.
going out
Lovecraft-
to your rose garden and hearing it sing at you.
right?
H.P. Lovecraft,
Like-
the whole idea of horror is the defilement of nature and the perversion of natural law.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's basically
And
how
that's,
like even when he describes like the elder gods, is like it's something you can't explain to a human because no human has ever experienced it. Therefore, there's no words to use.
and I know I was horribly paraphrasing what he had said, but that's neither here nor there. That whole thing, though, about saying, like, oh, yeah, we sometimes hear carnival music coming from there, like, that made my skin crawl. Like, that is the most unnatural thing, because when you say a patch of woods, I mean, I've lived in Pennsylvania most of my life, so I understand when you say a patch of woods, it's not a sweeping forest. It's just a small area of woods.
It's a small area that if you committed to, you could walk through it in 20 minutes.
Yeah. And the idea that there's some unnatural thing having carnival music of all things playing, or circus music.
Fact, like it's producing something you can hear.
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
See, and that's I didn't hear it. No, trust me, I never wanted to stand 10 feet within that woods ever again. Luckily, we didn't hang out there too much longer.
Yeah, I get
But
it.
and the weird thing about the thing about the movie theater story I was forgot to bring up earlier is that that happened and kind of we all forgot about it. And then
Right.
like as weeks are going by, there's like 20 of us working in that building, and for some reason we all start to kind of independently meet at a certain conversational point where we just start kind of bringing up on our cord shit that's happened to us in the building. And then, of course, like a month, we all realize that I think every one of us has seen or heard something we had no explanation for. Like my friend Cassie walked into what she knew for a fact was an empty bathroom because she went to the last stall, used it, and then when she got up to leave, she heard someone in the stall next to her. My friend Christian walked into a movie theater. We were gonna clean. We were the ushers. He walked in. We all see him do a double take, and we're like, "What's up?" He's like, "There was someone in the seat right next to me." I had to see. I saw a figure in the corner of my eye. We were doing a staff meeting in one of the theaters, and my manager, who was the one calling us all crazy, is in the middle of a conversation. He's reading notes. He looks up, double takes, eyes pop out of his head, shakes his head, and goes back to reading his note. And the whole bunch of us were like, "What the fuck was that?" We never found like an official like someone died in the building or whatever, but it didn't have to be. It could just be fucking. Honestly, it could be just someone trying to fuck with us.
Yeah, like
that's what poltergeists supposedly are. Poltergeist isn't like, I don't have any ties to this world. I'm coming for you.
Yeah. like when you, I mean, and
because I can't.
There's a whole comic book series about this. Actually, it's one of my favorites of all time. But like when you go out in the woods and you just out of the corner of your eye, you think you see something moving, and it's nothing. It's just trees. But you see a shape in the trees, and then you look away, and then it's gone. That is the stuff that freaks me the fuck out more than anything.
The other movie that fucked with me, and this is going to sound pretty weird to people, and it has to do with audio, audio fucked with me. No, The Fourth Kind. The Fourth Kind uses audio in one of the most disturbing ways I've ever heard, because by the end of it, like, it's kind of a ho-hum movie altogether. But at the end of it, like, these supposed aliens are speaking through Mila Jovovich's character. But
that one.
Yeah.
So snap her jaw, and you can't really see, but like her mouth is completely outstretched, and she's basically has these voices coming out of like just a hole in her face. And it's these garbled voices in Sumerian, but it's not that. It's not that that's happening. What they were saying put like. I don't want to use the word divine, but I would certainly use the word universal. It put some kind of like fucking astral existential terror in me that I haven't been able to live down. Because it was like, she's like, give me my child back. And they're like, the child's not yours. Like, it belongs to us. You belong to us. We are God. I was like, oh no.
What's the name of this movie?
The Fourth Kind.
Well, I know what I'm watching tomorrow.
No, don't watch it, Allan, because it's based off a documentary. It's based off of actual documentary footage, so do not watch with your past. They claim it's supposed to be based off of a real thing that happened. It's based off of real footage.
Eric, don't do it.
Oh, it got a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's another thing.
Here's the thing. It's kind of shit outside of like its gimmick, and then the gimmick falls apart, and you're like, It does have Elias Koteas long after he played Casey.
I'm looking at a JPEG of the aliens from that movie, and it looks awful.
Mm-hmm.
It had a budget of $10 million.
Yeah,
I mean that sounds like a horror movie budget.
Yeah,
but it made it back.
Yeah,
Paranormal Activity made like $10,000.
Now, if you want to watch something that's it's a real terror, is this documentary called Dirty Money, which you should all watch for different reasons. A different kind of terror.
Scary documentaries about like the paranormal are hard to find.
I know,
because like a lot of it is like what are we exposed to most?
Yeah,
Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State.
So
by
cool,
the way, I have watched shamelessly. I have watched like 8 seasons of Ghost Adventures. Yeah. There's a reason for it. I find it very endearing. I find like the claim that they're a 3-man team to be pretty interesting. I also like the fact that every time they go to some island or some place, this is the formula. Zach is like, okay, I'm going to sit in this room. I'm going to monitor the cameras. I'm going to take temperature readings. Nick, you're going to go in that cabin, and you're going to do temperature readings. Aaron sit in this room where 400 children were boiled alive. Have fun.
Yo, did you throw something at her, bro? Throw something at me, Ghost?
And then Aaron, every time Aaron gets scared, he turns towards his camera or someone's camera and makes an O face.
He does.
I think I didn't. Was there an episode? Was there an episode where were like involving like an axe?
It was
Him
something
with
like
an
that.
axe?
I think he
Like,
mentions he's like, I don't know why, but every time you go to some place like this, Zach always puts me in the room where the worst kind of human atrocities happened. And that's fucked up because like the story behind the show is like Aaron had some entity follow him home and fuck up his marriage.
Jesus.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know
Aaron-
that was the
Aaron's
story.
story is that like he went to because here's the thing: Ghost Adventures started as a documentary on the Travel Channel that's got one of the most convincing and terrifying pieces of paranormal footage because they have a fucking brick thrown at them from nowhere. You see a brick levitate and get tossed at them.
Mhm.
You gonna throw a brick at me,
yeah.
bro? Throw a brick at me?
It's actually like it's insane to watch now because
And they detail that, like, I guess throughout their previous journeys, like before they started like really formally filming anything, like Aaron and his wife, I guess, both believed, and they moved 4 times, and each time they moved, they just had horrible shit kept happening to them, and they eventually got divorced, I think, mutually because they're like, we can't do this together anymore. And Zach Bagans actually opened up his paranormal museum, fucking 10 minutes away from me, so that's gonna happen soon.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I watched one episode of Paranormal State, and that was the most hackneyed, forced canned bullshit I've ever seen. It's got dramatic camera angles and fucking music and shit. I'm like, this is the fake stuff I've ever seen.
So, fun fact about Paranormal State. You know my friend Andrew. Oh, Allan knows my friend Andrew.
Yeah.
He's streaming with them now. Like,
What?
so
What?
Ryan from Paranormal State has a streaming channel, and my buddy Andrew is streaming with them. It's really funny.
Wow, that's interesting.
bizarre.
That means his paranormal background took a shit.
Yep.
And like Ghost Hunters, the only
Are you
reason
saying that's
Ghost
a bad thing? Are you saying Andrew's a bad guy?
No, I think it's great that he's
No,
doing
Matt
it.
Connor.
No, I'm talking about the dude who used to be from Paranormal State. That means that his fucking alleged background in the paranormal burned up and he lost all goodwill and now he has to stream video games.
God damn it. Hunter, what's the name of the documentary about that guy who hunts aliens?
Wait, which one?
He thought the aliens made him pee himself.
Oh.
Wait, is it like Skinwalker Ranch or something?
No,
like that?
this is like, it's the weirdest documentary. It's kind of sad, actually.
It's some dude. He every night like he has this like thing where he's obsessed with aliens and he like hunts them.
Right.
And like he thinks that aliens like abducted him and made him pee himself or something like that.
Yeah, he thinks that being in the vicinity of aliens made him pee himself.
This is like Ackroydian levels of bullshit.
Well, no, it's so weird because this is a man who obviously has some sort of psychosis. Like he needs help. He needs mental help. But he's so caught up in his belief in aliens that he's just letting that pilot his life.
It's a man who's lost everything and like is like essentially just letting his mental illness take him on a ride.
Okay.
Oh,
So it is
so
like-
then
so
they did a show about me in 10 years.
Yes.
So it is kind of it's the reptilian believer because that's what I kind of think they all are.
Kind
It's
of.
people who just lost.
Yeah.
This guy believes in
believes in
grays,
grays.
though. But yeah, he's not like a conspiracy guy, but like he really does believe that there are aliens in, was it San Diego or some place like that?
God.
Like
Yeah,
they're
it's
very
It's some rural town, if I remember correctly.
but it's by a
Here's
beach.
my
Well, it's not San Diego. Then.
here's my stance on aliens. Like, if they're gonna come here, they're already here, they've been here already, and we're probably not that interesting. They left.
I just imagine
think-
it like
I
that
think
episode of South Park.
I saw what was it? Shit, my dad says, the old Twitter account. One of the lines from that was like, it's hilarious and both like so poignant and like crystal clear. He's like, of course aliens exist. Why the fuck would they come visit us? That's like driving 10,000 miles to go to a fucking Arby's.
Yeah. Also, like,
That's a good one.
also like if they exist, they're like the aliens from 2001. In which case, they don't give a fuck about us.
They don't give a shit about us. We can't even we can't even conceivably leave our own like solar system and survive the process.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna fly over and go, look at these fucking insects. Why would we bother with them?
Yeah, they'll leave.
And then I don't believe in abductions because like why do you care? There's
Well, like,
nothing to
so
learn
that-
from
and why
us.
does-
You'd abduct us and go,
why
God,
does
these things
every
are
abduction-
squishy.
Why does every abduction story have something about one being anally probed? I mean, I know it's a Bill Hicks routine, but I think they've learned everything they can about the human anus by this point.
It's not even
abducting
alien probes. It's like there's an. I mean, here's the thing. It's not necessarily a conspiracy theory, but there are a lot of people who believe that the government made a deal with aliens so that they could.
Oh yeah.
So they could surgically remove people's buttholes.
Yeah, that
And
that
that's
ties
wow.
into
Show
Valiant
like
Thor. There was a supposed like blonde-haired alien who was like fair-skinned, and his name was Valiant Thor, and he was part of a lot of different meetings with higher
Right.
government officials in what like the 30s, the 40s.
also like
I can't
Uh-huh.
let's take the joke out of that. Like let's say the government made a deal with the aliens to study us. Like after like the fourth human, you've learned everything there is to know.
Right.
Our eyes suck. Our lifespans suck.
Mhm.
Our body is designed. If it's designed by an intelligent being, that intelligent being is kind of dumb.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do we pee and poop? Still don't understand why that happens. Why do we have to make waste? Why can't
What?
we use it all?
Why don't we have
Um,
just one process? Why do we have to have two separate ones?
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't we have cloaca?
Dude, why do we go? Why? The human body sucks. We're fucking squishy as hell. They
We're
probably
also all morbidly obese. We're all.
We're all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that and the other thing, they look down at us and go like, why are they blowing each other up? This is stupid. Let's go to the next
Mhm.
planet.
You know who had it right? Douglas Adams.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, I do like when people tell a story about like lost time. That's a whole different thing. It's like when you're stopped at a red light, you look down, it's 1 a.m., and then like you snap back to reality, and it's 5 a.m., and you're at the same traffic light. That's
yeah.
a weird. That's something that just
Yeah.
I experience it all the time, but it's mostly just when I'm really tired. Like.
Yeah, that's my problem with that. Is that like, yeah, I've had that, but that's because I've decided not to go to sleep, and I just black out. So
Hey, funny story. I didn't sleep last night because just how my brain has been working. I worked all day. I couldn't tell you a thing I did today. I was there.
Yeah.
People can tell me I was there.
right.
I don't remember anything. I was splashing cold water into my eyes just to stay awake. And I don't mean like kind of splashing my eyelids. I was holding my eyes open and pouring cold water into them.
Jesus.
That's how little I slept last night. But fuck, where's I going with this? I think we've talked actually this topic to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
mean-
wanted to possibly bring up some of the more fringe things that are just, I don't know, are disturbing to me if written well, which most of them fall into the creepypasta
how long
category.
How running? What official showtime? What are we?
Breaking the record on this after dark will be very hard.
No, I'm just go ahead.
We are at 2 hours, so
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
We
kind of what
can
I figured
cut
with
it
the
off.
rats.
Yeah. No, I was just going to bring up the realm of some of the creepypastas I've read have actually, I know they're not
Dude,
real, but some of them
I'm
can
gonna
be
throw-
based on some decent stuff.
I used to look very kind of dirtily. Oh, that's not a word. I used to look down at creepypastas. I'm like, whatever. And then like I think I read one. It was a story about the guy who's walking home, and the dude's following him on the sidewalk by like doing very bizarre, slow, calculated like dance steps towards him, but he's not
Yeah,
looking
I-
at him.
I
Looking
think I've
up
read
at
this
the
one.
and smiling.
Yep.
And then he said like he kind of did these weird walks towards him, approached him, turned around, pivoted, and walked back the other direction. And then when he turned back to look at him again, this dude was running at him full force.
Yeah, I remember this one.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't fucking care if there's no supernatural part to that. That's scary as shit.
also,
It's-
I mean, the most famous creepypasta caused two little girls to kill another little girl, so
Yeah.
it's inherently
Also, it's not
scary.
very good or scary. So.
Yeah. It's for me,
Here's the thing, Slender
The
Man.
game is scary.
Well, that's because anything not direct related to like look, Slender Man is designed to be a video game character. He's not designed. He's the worst pop culture boogeyman I've ever seen. In that,
He's so bland.
His design is cool, and he's only been done well once, and that's by the people who created him.
Yeah.
You're not going to find a better Slender Man story than Marble Hornets. And you want to know why that is? Because Slender Man is in a total of maybe 17 minutes of the entire affair.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Marble Hornets is hours long.
Yeah.
The two creepypastas I wanted to mention were Ted the Caver, I thought was done really well.
Oh my god. Dude, that story doesn't even have a fucking ending, and it's terrifying.
And Candle Cove actually was done really well.
Well, I mean, you can experience that visually now. Thanks, Sci-Fi, for showing you what that fucking creature looks like. Now I'll never sleep again.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of that show. But regardless, those were two. And then just the stuff about the, not even skinwalkers, but like the black-eyed children. Just there's something so disquieting about any of the stories I've read with them.
See, I find skinwalkers be really fascinating because like that's, I think it's been kind of appropriated by like wacko farmers who are like a wolf fucking sheep. And they're like, I've been attacked by a skinwalker. And they're like, for some reason, their definition of a skinwalker is like an alien that disguises itself as a fucking a furry beast or some shit like that. When like a
I just
skinwalker
attributed it to them drinking gasoline.
it's supposed to be like
And having
Native
sex with
American-
sandcastles.
Yeah, it's a Native American folklore tale about like shapeshifters.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they would turn to dogs, they would turn to deer, they would turn into fucking anything. It was basically just a creature who walks on all fours suddenly walking bipedally. That's what a skinwalker is.
Skinwalkers and the closely related Wendigo myth.
The Wendigo, yes.
Both are terrifying.
Well, the scary stories to tell in the dark, the Wendigo story always bugged me out.
Wow, in the dark bugged me out. All right. Four of those books, and that's turned into a movie, is really unsettling. With all the original art. Fuck. The creepypasta thing. I'm so disappointed in pop culture and Slender Man because his design is so simple, and it's kind of terrifying when you see it from far away or it's distorted, because you're like, it's one of those things where you're like, the fuck is that? It's where if you're not looking at it, it's not in focus. You're like, I don't know what that is, but it's not right.
Yeah.
B, I'm mad because, and Joe can vouch for this. In high school, I came up with this kind of. I saw him in a dream once, and I drew him. It's kind of a boogeyman. He's tall, pale, kind of wears a black jacket, not a suit jacket, like a Cenobite jacket.
Right.
Mostly faceless, except I gave him a tooth smile that went all the way up where his ears should be, and no eyes. And I was like, one day, I will do something with this creature. And I came up with a story for him. He's some kind of extra-dimensional being who kind of pops into existence and pops out, and no one knows where he came from. Maybe he came from the inside of a fucking dead star in some galaxy we can't go to, or maybe it's in the fourth dimension. And then came Slender Man, and I'm like, oh, fuck everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Can't ever do this now.
And that person who made up Slender Man, it was Joe.
That motherfucker.
Well, it speaks to something that idea is so universal. In that, like, yeah, they're making a Slender Man movie, which I guess is... here's the thing. It's based off of that story that I was talking about the two little girls who killed another girl. And depending on
they didn't even kill her. She didn't die.
Really? I thought that she died.
No, she lived through it.
Oh, that's right.
She refused to take part in any of the documentaries, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think her family is like, no, keep us out of this. I think they would like respectfully decline.
Yeah. But the part about the little girls, that's the part that's terrifying. Like the fact that, and here's the thing, the lore that the little girls came up with is more terrifying than anything I've ever read about Slender Man or heard about Slender Man. Like, the idea that he wants tributes and that he wants people to believe in him and do his work for him, that is terrifying. And if they key into that, that would be interesting, at least. But, like, and the fact that Sinister exists, and Sinister is playing on the same idea of, like, the boogeyman. And, like, there's some guy out there who you can't see, you make him real in a weird way. like that idea is like in everybody. It's a lot like, there's this thing that people who have night trauma or night terrors talk about, and it's this figure called the Hat Man. And even
The Hatbox Ghost?
No, it's just the Hat Man. If you look up a picture of the Hat Man,
God damn it, Hunter.
you don't need to have night terrors. You know who the Hat Man is the moment you see him. He's just a man wearing a very large hat that's covering his face. And he's instantly terrifying. And there are certain images that for some reason are just scary, and you don't know why. And they're everywhere.
Well, I mean, that speaks to like the fucking the Crooked Man. Which, by the way, no one's ever did that well as The Conjuring did.
No, that is the coolest special effect. Like, that's a real dude who did that.
That is
like,
a real man. His name is Javier Botet, and anytime you see him on screen, you think he's a CGI effect. He's not.
He's very real.
Do yourself a favor and look up the pre-production footage of him in the Mama outfit. He is a scary man because one, his fingers are like 10 inches long, and he can move them basically like I think all of his joints are basically they're all kind of extra large, and his I'm not sure what kind of like, it's not a disease, but it's like it's a condition, and like all of his joints are kind of like superpowered basically, and
That's horrific.
bend all of his body into weird things. So when you see him on screen doing something that doesn't make any sense, he's really doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The documentary on Netflix called The Nightmare is, I'm mad we didn't bring this up earlier, but I'm gonna bring it up now. It's all about night terrors, and like I don't want to experience what these people go through, because you mentioned like the Man in a Hat, and like all of these people independently share story about shadow men they see in their sleep, and it's all the same kind of situation where like they wake up, they think they wake up, and they look around the room, and like either there's someone directly in their face, or there's someone standing across the room,
or there's
and
a
suddenly
cat,
like
there's a demon cat who's like, I'm gonna kill you. Get over here.
Actually, the one that's I'm just thinking of fucking What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
He never could get the face.
Right. But the one nightmare in that documentary that fucked me the most is like it's the most non-terrifying one, but when you think about how you had to live with this, it's absolutely petrifying. It's the one dude who said like he would go to sleep and have sleep paralysis episodes, but like his dream was that two aliens would come in and tickle him.
God, that was so. That one's
on
that
paper.
one's bad.
When you think about it, you're like, can you imagine living with that every single night of your life and not being able to wake up from it?
I would be so pissed.
That would drive me insane.
That one stuck with me. But the one about the guy who, in his sleep paralysis, he's able to get up, and he's able to go up to the phone, and the phone is just, and he talks to somebody on the phone, and the phone is just, and the person on the other end is just like, "We're coming for you," and then his entire world turns upside down. Do you remember that guy? Who's like, he remembers like feeling like everything has been like shifted on an angle, and that like gravity is like coming apart, and he's just like stuck in this, being unable to breathe.
Holy shit!
Like
I don't remember that one.
I like the one. It's like the first one that the guy details about. Like he got up in the middle of the night, and he still doesn't know if this is a dream or not. And he sat down in front of the TV, and like a newscaster was like kind of in the middle of a bit, looks towards the camera like at this kid and says like his name. He says, "Don't worry, everything will be fine," and goes right back to his newscast. I'm like, that is some fucked up shit. To have a fucking newscaster just address you in the middle of nowhere.
Ugh.
But I think like there was the one where the woman said she woke up and all she could see was black, and then like just a red face got in her face and screamed at her.
Nope. Do not want.
That was and I joke about the cat one, but that one was also terrifying. Because
like a giant spider one, and I was like, nope.
Because the guy he imagines having like his cat sitting on him, and he assumes it's just he's waking up and he's half awake and his cat's on top of him. People wake up with their cats on him all the time.
Dude, I wake up with a monster in my face going, "Nah," all the time.
Yeah, and like the cat, but like the cat's face. Or no, that was in real life. He had the cat on him. But in the dream, he has the guy with the teeth.
Yes.
And it's telling him things. But then they talk about what his girlfriend saw. And his girlfriend saw his cat sitting on his chest. And, like, staring at him intensely. At the exact same moment, he was seeing the vision of the guy with the teeth.
Yeah. That
was fucked up. That
also, like, the levels of it's they have to go through like their own nightmare version of Inception sometimes to wake up, because the one guy said like he felt like he was being suffocated, and then he woke up, grabbed his girlfriend, and then like I guess like when he went to go grab her, like I think she turned into something spooky, or like she wasn't there,
right?
And then he starts panicking, and then he woke up again.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So it's like the end of Prince of Darkness.
It's like that, how do you go through your life not knowing like what's a fucking dream and what's not?
This reminds me of the what inspired Friday the 13th. Not Friday. Yeah.
Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street is totally based on a real case.
Oh yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street is based on Wes Craven was reading newspaper articles about a bunch of I think it was Vietnamese adolescents who were all dying.
Japanese.
My memory my memory is that they were all like Saudi Arabia or something like that.
It was I think it was a foreign incident. It was all these kids who were dying in the middle of their sleep. I think like the parents came in on the one, and he jolted out of bed, started screaming, and just instant cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And also, I guess they took
and they wouldn't sleep. That's the other thing.
Yeah, he not sleep. It's not that he couldn't; he wouldn't.
They found, and this is a detail from the original Nightmare on Elm Street, is that they found that they had bought coffee makers, and that they were hiding.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
They were hiding coffee makers under their beds, and they had caffeine pills.
Yeah, and the sleeping pills they were being given, they were stashing somewhere else and throwing away.
Yeah.
And then Wes Craven said he said that, and The Origin of Freddy, I think, is one of the creepiest things I've ever heard. He said he was really little, and he was looking out his window like you do when you're a kid, and he said a man passed by his window, passed by, but then came back and just stared him directly in the face and kind of grinned really evilly and kind of made like a boo movement. And he was like, that kind of weird predatory nature from an older man to a child stayed with me my whole life. And I think he's like, that's the seed where Freddy came from, where it's this complete violation of how you feel safe.
Yikes.
Yeah.
God damn it.
So I'm not sleeping tonight. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah. I have to be at work at 5 in the morning, so thanks, guys.
Because I haven't slept yet.
The thing is, and I know we need to wrap soon. I could talk about this shit for another 2 hours. I love this so much.
I could talk about this for another 100 hours, and I'm actually glad this happened the way it did, because now I know for a fact of what to do and what not to do for sure. So, thanks for the backdoor pilot, guys.
Connor, please let me be on Shadow Zone when you do a podcast.
You fucking kidding me? I'm gonna need people to talk to at some point.
I just want to be there just to learn.
I mean, I've said many times I'd be your co-host if you want one. Yeah. So
I mean, I will literally be the dude sitting in a corner reading a newspaper.
Yeah. Me just monologuing, maybe doing an opening monologue and going into a conversation with people because.
No, that would actually be a really smart way to do it, because you could actually introduce even people who are on as guests. They might not be as aware of something that you want to talk about, and that way you can just go from there. Yeah.
That and my own self-esteem issues prevent me from doing the entire episode by myself, and resist it's shit. So something else has to be done first. But this seems like a better idea. But yeah, we can wrap now, and I'm gonna take a bunch of sleep aids and pass the fuck out.
Don't die.
Arlen's like, must be nice to sleep tonight.
Yeah. I'll just be looking out the window right above my door, because I have one of those.
Here's the thing. I've probably written my own doom, because I don't take diphenhydramine or anything like that, because I want to be able to wake up tomorrow and not act like Frankenstein at the sight of light. Fire. No,
I'll just go toss a little girl in the lake. You'll be fine.
I take a combination of melatonin and kind of herbal relaxers. The problem with melatonin is that I don't know if anybody here has ever had a melatonin dream.
Oh,
I haven't.
Wacky. Oh my god. Real quick before we close, I'll just close on a brighter note. I had a melatonin dream once, and me and my whole family had to flee to Japan. I don't know why Japan specifically. But we were running from the American government because I had created a box that could both create marijuana and chocolate chip cookies from nothing.
I've had many.
After for the cookies and not the marijuana. Like I had G-Man look at me going like, "We need those cookies."
I have had many melatonin dreams where I'm the Flash,
I'm pretty sure.
and like it feels like very vivid, and that I'm.
I had a melatonin dream where I was a horse. I don't know.
The last melatonin dream I remember is that I met Bugs Bunny.
God damn it.
Wait, did you say you milked Bugs Bunny?
Oh my god.
No, I met him.
No,
We
that's
hung
a
out.
different fan fiction that you wrote, Eric.
Perverted about cartoon characters.
Oh,
That's my fanfic.
Put your fucking weird fan. Don't even bring up board. So yeah, it's been the most off the wall episode of Phantom Zone ever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And completely different than what the plan was, but I'm okay with it.
Hey,
I'm fine with it because I
I've
feel a lot better than I had the last 5 days. So
It's an After Dark, and in After Dark land, there are no rules. So,
and in After Dark Land, we tend to lean into horror really hard. Apparently,
yeah.
And the truth is out there.
Okay, then. Let's do plugs real quick, and let's get out of here.
Yes, I'm Connor McGraw, and Movie Dumpster is out. It exists. We just released the Equilibrium episode. It's my favorite episode of the show so far. We actually liked the movie a lot. Instead of taking a heaping shit on it, like I think we planned, we actually ended up talking a lot about like everything in that movie, like themes, what everything means, like what it'd be like to live in a fucking society where you had to take drugs to numb your emotions, and how stupid gun kata is.
Also, how useless Tay Diggs was.
How useless Tay Diggs' whole character is because he spends 90 minutes sniffing his own flatulence and then just dies.
Not hiding his emotions at all.
Fucking awesome.
You can follow me on Instagram at StrokeMillionaire. Also follow my video game account, Mode 7 Games. I'm looking to do more things with that. I don't know what, but things are coming.
Sorry.
Mode 7?
Laser time reference.
AA Haro on Twitter and all the places because whatever. SpaceColomo.tumblr.com. Lost Haro podcast. We did a first part of 2 Hitchcock episodes, so go listen to that. Fairly soon, about 9 days from when we are recording this, we will have a new movie special, Steel.
Yes.
Listen to it early on YouTube. Valentine's Day for RSS feed subscribers.
Get with your girlfriend or your boyfriend and just pour a glass of wine.
Yeah, listen to that. Listen to our first Valentine's special, 2003's Daredevil as well, and just have a good time. Have a good
The movie that almost killed me.
Yeah. It just
It did
just
kill
spread
me.
the
I'm a
love.
ghost.
Stand up, guys. Stand up.
Spread the love by watching a movie that I fucking hated so much.
I hate that fucking movie so goddamn much.
I'm not talking about Steel, I'm talking about Daredevil. Daredevil's fucking terrible.
You can follow me on Twitter at thisgingerburns. Yes, I still have it. I don't plan on changing it. You fuckers.
Well, no one was challenging you.
I'm not done yet.
Oh,
You can have your time when I'm done.
Whoa!
The residual Chris effect, I'm telling you.
Jesus.
You just had to bring him back.
I mean, look what it did for your performance. So you talk when Chris is here.
Yeah, you actually add to the show. It's weird.
Yikes.
Here's the big thing about when Chris shows up. Like Allan seemingly just takes off the gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
Allan
like,
becomes-
every joke I say is gonna fucking land tonight.
And even if it doesn't, his delivery is so great that it
It's
doesn't
so
matter.
confident, I can't help but love it.
love
Every time
it.
it happens. I'm still recovering from. I got to do far away from the mic to really simulate it. Funniest moment of the show so far.
It was great.
Was formerly doing video game hour for Losaro.
Okay.
Yeah, just let that sink in. Hunter and Connor.
Yeah.
It's on hiatus. Leave it alone.
Let's not try to add to my schedule right now, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
But 4 months from now,
That's
something
also
else-
why I'm not worried about it at the moment because it's being rebooted. So
Mm-hmm.
something else is coming.
I
It'll
think
be grand.
I think you're
It'll
waiting.
be extraordinary. It will be delightful.
Well, yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I'm just trying to stab that prick Walt Disney.
What?
Whoa.
Okay, wait a second. Okay.
Whoa.
He doesn't like Jews.
In your
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, allegedly.
Allan, like you're beating up a dead man.
I don't care.
I like how I'm saying this, but like every month I get on Facebook, I'm like, why is Fidel Castro such a bad driver? Because he's dead.
Also, he's responsible for the great dictator, so doesn't balance things out, but it's definitely not that bad.
Could be a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Alan?
No, I've said my piece. I have aired my grievances.
Oh, he said no. No.
I'm
you
Eric
ask?
I'm Eric Fedorchak. You can follow me on Instagram at Eric_Fedor. Puppies, comics, things, whatever I feel like taking pictures of. And yeah, I don't really think there's much else I have to say. Although I do want to bring out the fact that Jimmy Snuka was a skinwalker. He's not guilty. The man is dead. The man is dead, but his skinwalker lives to murder again.
There's a skinwalker in the.
Skinwalker Jimmy Fly Snuka. He's out there, man.
Where's that fucking stage hook I can get?
Like the end of Showtime at the Apollo.
I still don't know what that thing is. Anyway, that's been all of us, correct? Yes?
I believe so.
Pretty then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Sleep tight.
Bye, everybody.
Fuck X-Men Apocalypse.
You play a good game, boy.
Bye. A good game indeed.
The funeral's about to begin.